Hi everybody, Dr. Misha Kogan, Medical Director of Center for Integrative Medicine, Associate Professor of Medicine at George Washington University. Happy holidays, Easter, Passover, Ramadan, whatever you're celebrating. As you see, I'm not in my usual background. It's a kid's spring break, so we're skiing. But there's an interesting update in Maryland relating to cannabis, and so I thought that actually it's quite important to talk about it. So on April 4th, Maryland, both House and Congress have passed recreational cannabis law. It's expected to be signed into the law by the governor in just upcoming couple of weeks, and in that case, the law becomes effective as of July 1st. It's a very progressive law. It's probably one of the best in the countries. So I'm going to go into good number of details on this video, so it may take a little bit longer than usual couple of minutes. But in short, as of July 1st, if you're in Maryland, you will be able to start getting cannabis recreationally, so for adult use, not just as medical. And a lot of the dispensaries that are medical dispensary will be able to offer people to purchase recreational cannabis, not just for medical purposes, or not just medical cannabis. So what's so unique and good about the Maryland law? Well, first of all, it's one of the lowest tax rates, so it's only 9%. Just to comparison, the sale tax in Maryland is at 6%, so it's just 3 points above the standard sale tax. I'll give you some interesting comparison. If you're looking at states like Washington, that's 37% taxation. If you're in Alaska, for example, it's a 0%, but each location has a right to tax up to pretty significant amount for each ounces of dried flower, and a lot of the locales do mark up. So for example, it's the same exact issue in states like Illinois or in states like Minnesota, where it appears to be a pretty low tax. In Illinois, I think it's 7%. But the locale, so the local jurisdiction, allows to add a lot, and they can add up to 20-30% tax. So in some locations in those states I mentioned, it could be actually exactly 7% as in Illinois, but it could be a lot more. In Maryland, they made an interesting decision to avoid that. So the locations, a particular town, for example, has no right to add additional tax. So it's going to be a set 9% in the entire state. Another interesting point is that typically when states collect taxes, they send the money to every location in the state. Here they're going to do that, but they're going to send very little. Most of it is going to stay centrally in Maryland. That's a mixed bag. They claiming that they will try to use a lot of this money for educational purposes, for research, and also to support cannabis prohibition era affected communities, so of course primarily communities of color. Will they actually do that? It's yet to be determined, but the attempt, the written law, is quite good. Couple of personal points on the whole law. I'm very excited that one of our House representatives, David Moon, who's in Tacoma Park, who was part of the recreational cannabis Commission working group, was a supporter and quite engaged in this. I have privilege to give him a copy of my book. I hope he found it useful and that he educated Maryland lawmakers about some of the medical and other aspects of cannabis. I'm also proud. As a physician, I find that an attempt to make the recreational law very low tax, meaning that the prices on cannabis in Maryland is going to be probably within certain time frame pretty low, maybe even lowest in the country. It's going to drive down use of illegal cannabis, of course. It's probably going to drive down not just taxes, but it's going to drive up the quality of products. So quality of products is already pretty good for medical, so I expect that the recreational quality going to be just as good as medical. And it's not just going to fill up the coffers of the state, which is what all other states have chosen to do with the cannabis, recreational cannabis. They by the default, or how they're trying to design it, it sounds like they're really trying to correct wrongs to the affected communities over decades of heavy racism that cannabis was used for, with no evidence, and being purely political. And they're also trying to really improve access. The law itself will allow people to also grow cannabis, which I think is also quite important. If you're really low income and you're trying to make the herb as available as possible, you will potentially you will have a right to grow it on your property without being afraid of prosecuting, and also, of course, that will make the cost of cannabis the lowest possible. So a lot of good development with this law. As I said, it's not yet fully signed into the law, but I'm pretty sure it will be. And to kind of finish up, as you of course know, that DMV area district has already approved medical cannabis, although the process has been quite glitchy, and Virginia is expected to approve it also very soon. But in Virginia, the tax will be very high. So the prices of cannabis in Virginia will be much higher than in the Maryland, with period of time. From medical perspective, if you're a medical patient, as you of course know, if you're in Virginia or Maryland, you can obtain products from district in what's called reciprocity law. I don't think that law will be in effect for recreational. I believe that the dispensation will have to be attached to your residency address, and you have to be a resident in the state. But for the medical, the reciprocity will maintain. The importance of reciprocity is that mostly for Virginians, I think that if you're in Virginia, you really cannot obtain a very good quality products that are purely medical, like high doses oils, suppositories, quality creams. Virginia's catching up, but their products right now is mostly just a flower and one or two oils, and often it's completely inappropriate for a comprehensive medical program that many patients may need a combination of 2, 3, 4 products, and it's just not feasible to establish that within the Virginia now. Of course, I expect that to be changed. So hopefully this was useful for you. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to stay updated in all things integrative medicine, particularly if you're in a DMV area, as well, of course, what's going on in the general health world and what's going on with George Washington Center for Integrative Medicine. Have a wonderful day. Bye.